Story 1. Whenever I am in Vermont, I am always struck by how deeply pleasant it is and feel like it is talked about so little. Truly the sleeper hit of New England. Story 2, Michigan. I was not expecting to fall madly in love with that place, but I absolutely left my heart there. So many different things, lakes and larger lakes, very outdoorsy without being pretentious about it. Every town was its own adventure. I have been applying to jobs trying to move there, but no luck yet. Story 3. I have been to California, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Vermont, North Carolina, South Dakota, Nevada, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and I am probably forgetting one or two. I have a special place in my heart for California. I spent my childhood in Los Angeles, lived in Wisconsin for many years, and now live in San Marcos, California. I have also visited San Francisco. Right now, I just spent 10 days in the state of Washington. It is a state I never really thought about much. I spent some time in Seattle. I drove from there to Kitsap, which took me over the mountain pass for a good look at Mount Rainier. Then I spent a couple of days in Spokane before returning home. I have to say I was impressed. It is a beautiful place. The weather was quite nice too. Story 4, Arizona. One can drive north from Phoenix to the Grand Canyon and experience 3 seasons. The desert filled with saguaro cacti scene while heading south from Phoenix to Tucson is unlike any other part of the world. Story 5. An underdog choice, but I am going with Minnesota. A beautiful state. Everyone is so friendly. I did not expect to enjoy my time there, but left impressed and wanting to go back. Story 6. Utah. I am a big nature fan and was amazed by my month-long trip to Utah and the surrounding areas. Zion had the greatest hike I have ever been on with the Narrows and Orderville Canyon, followed by beautiful sights like natural bridges and arches. The park has 3 different climates. Park City is snowy, further south is green, and even further south is desert. Story 7. New Mexico has a way of removing any sort of stress from my life just by being there. Nebraska, though, those sand hills are amazingly beautiful. Story 8. I remember driving up the Pacific Coast Highway and being favorably impressed by Northern California. Also, South Dakota is very nice and Florida is as well. I am from Canada, by the way. Story 9. Colorado is a beautiful state and seems very well managed. The roads, in particular, seemed excellent to me. Story 10. California is wonderful. Yes, I know about taxes and other common issues found in many states, but it is beautiful. Story 11. New Hampshire was beautiful in the fall. The downside was that I visited during the COVID-19 pandemic, so there were not many restaurant options. Story 12. Lifelong New Englander. I absolutely love South Carolina, especially the Lowcountry. Also Utah. Coming from the East Coast, seeing the mountains was very humbling. Story 13, Maine. I generally like bigger cities, so I was going to Maine not expecting to be as into what it has to offer. I was very wrong. Portland, despite its size, is very thriving. The state has a huge emphasis on small businesses. Supporting them is a big passion of mine. There were fruit trees everywhere. Every day, I would eat apples, pears, blueberries, and whatever else I could find at parks, trails, and in towns. They also have the best donuts I have had at a place called the Holy Donut, which makes potato bread donuts. Go check out Maine. Story 14. Alabama, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New Mexico, California, and Pennsylvania are all absolutely beautiful states. I will not name the least attractive ones, but I have been to most of them. Story 15, Virginia. I was finishing a job in Petersburg and had 12 hours to kill before leaving from Washington, D.C. I went up to the Parkway, bought a beer, and sat on the bank of the Shenandoah River. It was one of the most pleasant days I have had. Story 16. The southern Colorado Plateau, northern Arizona, and southern Utah are the prettiest areas of the country, in my opinion. Hawaii and the Pacific Northwest are my runner-ups. Story 17. I was a long-haul trucker for some years and managed to touch 49 out of 50 states, though Alaska was a technicality, as I was on an island and that was it. Almost all of our states have something special to recommend themselves, but there are definite standouts. Some impressions. Colorado, in and of itself, is a gift and a glory. It contains a wonderful summation of the best of the western United States. It has a vast eastern prairie that stretches endlessly in front of you as you approach the increasingly looming Rocky Mountains. It has stunning heights and sweeping vistas, and deep gorges to the bowels of the planet that display marvels of geology. It is also a gateway to the desert Southwest, which made such an impact on me at first exposure. I am a sylvan guy from the deep and hilly woods of western Pennsylvania, so I had no trouble understanding how so many peoples through so many millennia found innumerable places there to call holy and sacred. Speaking of the holy and the sacred, the Dakotas showed me the Badlands and the Black Hills. These are landscapes that speak for themselves if you give them quiet presence and close consideration. They reveal the undeniable and tumultuous action of millions upon millions of years all around you, and they do it in the manner of a man who will tear you to ribbons without raising his voice or issuing threats. The view from inside these places will leave you truly informed. In the eastern reaches of Washington and Oregon, there is a massive desert that is spectacularly striking in contrast to the deep and breathing green soaking on the other side of the mountains. It was truly alien to me, so much so that I could hardly believe I was still on Earth at times, let alone within the borders of my own country. I imagined myself on the surface of the moon, yet I saw the moon above me riding high in a booming blue noonday sky. Some events in life are transformative. This one was transportative. It might be that I found the sublime in so many places in my country because I went out looking for it. Because I was receptive, I received. Even so, there are places out there that will leave even the most flint-hearted among us without doubt that we can indeed be touched to the soul, humbled in the mighty presence of indifferent workings, and feel deeply enriched for it. Sometimes I feel as though I could go on about these things forever. Sometimes it seems to me as though maybe I do. Let me just suggest to anyone who has the means to cross this country, side to side and top to bottom, as many times as you can. Really take it in. The days during which we are able to do such things in our lives can pass quite quickly. Good travels. Story 18, California. Flew into San Francisco from the East Coast and drove to Anaheim, stopping along the way for redwoods, a wedding in Carmel, Salt and Straw, and Disneyland, all in one weekend. Flew out from Los Angeles. It was the best road trip ever. Story 19, of course, there are some states that I expect to be highly ranked, like Hawaii, Alaska, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Utah, Montana, Idaho, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, and even Nevada or Arizona for the Grand Canyon. There are many that are unexpectedly gorgeous, though, like West Virginia, Maryland, Michigan, and North Carolina. Kentucky is certainly beautiful in unexpected ways. It is diverse, with the Appalachian Mountains in the east, the bluegrass area known for horses in the middle, and western Kentucky is completely its own beauty. There is something striking about seeing how flat it is compared to the rest of the state. Northern Kentucky has pretty river views, along with rolling hills scattered throughout, featuring seemingly secret caves, woods, and streams. Heaven must be a Kentucky kind of place rings true. Story 20. I love California. I do not care about earthquakes or high taxes. If I could be reincarnated, I would like to be born there again. Northern or Southern California does not matter. It is just an awesome state. Story 21. California has so much beauty throughout the state. A good friend of mine lived in one of the nicest towns in California and would always complain about how expensive it is to live there. When I went to visit him, I thought, well, no wonder. Have you taken a good look at the houses here? They are massive, with fantastic views and perfect weather. Story 22. Wow. Hard to choose. So different and gorgeous in their own right. In no particular order: Virginia, West Virginia, Utah, California, Alaska, Washington, Hawaii, Maine, Wyoming, Montana. I have been to 48 states so far, with my criteria being spending more than one night and seeing more than one location. Even states people think are ugly or boring can be quite beautiful. The Great Plains are incredible. It is an amazing country. Story 23, Utah and Hawaii. Utah was amazing because I got to see many different landscapes in 1 week. We went on a snowboarding trip. I went to hang out and visit somewhere I had never been before. The snow was poor that week, so we ended up driving to Arches and Canyonlands, which felt otherworldly to this East Coaster. One day we saw the salt flats. Another day we went snowmobiling outside of Park City. I was just in awe. Hawaii was absolutely stunning and truly feels like its own world. Every Hawaiian was the nicest person on the planet, and the landscape was breathtaking in every direction. I got to see big waves on the North Shore. It was its own little world, and I can see why the native Hawaiians are so protective of it. Colorado was also awesome at Rocky Mountain National Park, but I don't know if it can top my Utah trip. Story 24. Just came from Yellowstone and Grand Teton. Wyoming is so beautiful, especially the town of Jackson. I also found Idaho, particularly Idaho Falls, to have very friendly people. Story 25. New York. I fall in love with the city every time I visit. Upstate is not too shabby either. I am moving to the Green Lakes region this fall. Story 26. California, San Diego. Then moved there 30 years ago. But besides that, Hawaii almost purchased a place there. Victor, Idaho near Jackson Hole. Anacortes, Washington. Montana and South Dakota I like, but to visit, not live there. There are many others, but these popped into my head first. Story 27. Kentucky in the spring. I have been to Scotland, and it is very green and beautiful, but when I went to Kentucky for some bourbon tasting, I was amazed by the beauty. Vermont in the winter as well. I cannot say enough good things about my time there. Story 28. I haven't seen it in this thread yet, but I actually do love Ohio. There are plenty of things to do. Some of the landscapes are gorgeous. Cleveland is very nice, and Cincinnati is great too. I know there are memes about it, and it is not perfect, but I feel it sits at the ideal crossroads between many things, offering a little bit of everything. Story 29. Arkansas. I had never heard anything positive about it. Went there to visit a friend, and was completely blown away by the beauty. Lush green forests, gorgeous lakes, and kind people too. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Story 30. I lived there for a few months, but I really love Colorado. It seems like they just got their act together. When they made weed legal, they already had a plan in place, unlike Washington. Washington is also nice if you like forests, camping, and outdoor activities. Story 31. I have been to 35 states plus the District of Columbia so far in my life. Top 10 most impressive states for scenery in my personal experience. 1. Hawaii. 2. California. 3. Oregon. 4. Utah. 5. Maine. 6. Colorado. 7. New York, upstate. Washington. 9. New Mexico. 10. Florida. I am sure Alaska, Wyoming, and Montana might break into this list when I visit them all one day. I have not seen enough of Idaho, Arizona, or Tennessee to consider them in my top 10 most scenic. Washington may move further up the list when I go back to see more. Story 32. Florida impressed me so much that I moved there from New England 18 years ago. Now I live where most people vacation. Story 33. California remains the best to me. Redwood forests, beaches, Palm Springs, Joshua Tree, Lake Tahoe, and skiing. Amazing wine regions like Paso Robles and Napa, San Francisco, the beach culture in San Diego and Venice Beach, and the lovely Little Big Sur. It is the best. Story 34. Honestly, Virginia is pretty good. It has many nice towns and offers topographical, economic, and demographic diversity. Story 35. Nebraska, as I expected, is known for corn and nothing else, but there is something about Lincoln that I just loved. Story 36. Washington State was absolutely beautiful. I am from Colorado, so I became a little jaded about how pretty my own state is, but Washington was so green, and I got to see many great waterfalls. Story 37. I am from New England. I lived in Bethesda, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. for a little over a year and loved it. It was perhaps the best year of my life. Story 38. North Carolina. We had a quarter and she flipped it and yelled, "Heads Carolina, tails California. North Carolina is somewhere greener. Also, Carolina is somewhere warmer." We were soon up in the mountains and quickly down by the ocean. We realized it does not matter where, as long as we are going somewhere together. Next time you have got a quarter, Heads Carolina, tails California. Story 39, Arizona. The desert landscape, the wildlife, the night sky, the sunrises and sunsets, the hot sun. People were friendly. 10 out of 10. Story 40, Vermont. Holy cow, it is pretty. From the wildflowers on the sides of the roads to the enormous trees and mountains. Story 41, California. San Francisco and Los Angeles are world-class cities. The nature is unbelievable. The Pacific Ocean, mountain ranges, redwood forests, the desert, and wildlife. There is so much to see and do. Story 42. Just got back from Kentucky. We loved it. The scenery was beautiful. Everyone we spoke with was so kind, with lots of, "How are y'all doing?" and "You're welcome," baby being said. There was good food and fun attractions. I can't wait to go back. Story 43. Visited Arkansas, Bentonville region, last year. It was beautiful. The biking infrastructure was impressive. Story 44. California. I am from here, and I have traveled all over the United States. I have not been to any place that comes even close. Story 45. Colorado is like the five-star hotel of states. Everything is clean and nice compared to other places, and the people are very relaxed. Story 46. This was when I was a baby in Arkansas. I know it has declined, but Dad always said to avoid the cities, and it is really nice. Story 47. I keep coming back to my own state. The American Revolution started here. We have the best colleges and amazing arts and culture. Story 48. I love visiting Tennessee. Nashville is one of the most fun cities. I prefer it to New Orleans because it is cleaner. The Smoky Mountains are a beautiful area in the eastern part of the state. Sadly, Memphis looks economically depressed, but overall, I have had a great time on my visits to this state. Story 49. As someone who has exclusively lived in the Northeast and Great Lakes Midwest, I'm always amazed by the scenery in California, both north and south. Feels like a different country. Story 50. Not exactly a state, but Washington, District of Columbia, is great for visiting. I always thought it was pointless to visit the place, but after visiting on a whim, wow, so much history, so much power concentrated in one city, architecture, and public places. It really is an amazing place. Story 51. I lived in California for a while and drove around most of the state. Between the mountains, redwoods, beaches, and weather, there is no place that feels as magical. I would also give a runner-up to Vermont, Hawaii, and my home state, New York. Story 52. I have never visited West Virginia, but every time I travel through the state, I am impressed by its beauty. Story 53. Hawaii and Alaska are both amazing, but you would expect that. Utah is the one that makes you say, "Wow, this place is beautiful." Story 54. I have visited all 50 states. I moved from Ohio to Seattle in 2005 and will always remember the Black Hills area of South Dakota. It was early evening. Oregon is probably my favorite state overall. Story 55. Traveling around Oregon really opened my eyes. Born and raised in the flatness and heat of Florida, Oregon was absolutely beautiful. Story 56. California. Forget the negative press or the fires. Napa and Sonoma are gorgeous. San Francisco is still a cool, walkable city. The Santa Monica Pier is always good for a great time. San Diego's weather is unbeatable. Every time I go there, I have a blast. Story 57. California is known for its climate, natural beauty, and atmosphere. Among cities, Washington, D.C. was a surprise for me. Completely exceeded my expectations. Story 58. California, huge variety of climates and topographies. Utah, the breathtaking beauty of the desert Southwest. Story 59. California. Ski in Lake Tahoe in the morning, watch the sunset at the beach in the evening, and visit the Redwoods and Yosemite the next day. Story 60. I maintain that New Mexico is the most underrated state. It has basically everything that Colorado or Arizona could offer. It is cheaper, and it has incredibly friendly people. Yes, there is a lot of poverty, but that is not particularly unique to New Mexico. It also has incredible diversity, human, historical, and natural, and I have a lot of love for it. Story 61. California has the best of everything, from its Mediterranean climate to amazing and picturesque landscapes. There are so many places to visit and explore that a lifetime is not enough to see them all. Story 62. I am from Kentucky and cannot fully describe the beauty of my home state in words. The Appalachian Mountains are truly something worth seeing. However, North Carolina is my favorite place I have visited that is not my home. Look up Blowing Rock, which is a beautiful area despite its unfortunate name. Pictures will not do it justice. It is absolutely worth visiting. Story 63. I drove from Orlando to Amarillo, Texas once, and on the way back we decided to take a scenic rural route instead of the interstate. Of all the states we drove through, Tennessee was by far the most beautiful. The rolling hills, green pastures, and chimney-dotted hillsides were just breathtaking. That was more than 20 years ago, and I still remember its beauty. Story 64. Of the states I have visited, West Virginia was a really pleasant surprise for me. The landscape is beautiful, and everyone I have met from West Virginia was nothing but kind to me. Story 65. New Mexico, specifically Albuquerque. I always thought it was just desert out there and did not know what to expect. It was cool to see how developed it was. Also, Oklahoma City. I think it is only a matter of time before Oklahoma City has its own brand and appeal like Nashville or New Orleans. I cannot wait to visit both these states and cities again. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.